Hey everybody, it's me, Kyle, and this guest today needs no introduction. It's Yevato, old boy. But many people don't know much about him. So today we're gonna find out a little bit more. Hello.
Hey guys, this is Uncle Yevi. Uncle Yevi, you like that?
another
Yeah.
another
I'm getting
alias,
older
yes.
now.
Yeah, you do look like
But
an uncle, yes, especially with the diamond in your tooth there. Okay.
you know how I do. I got that cubic in my teeth. You know what I'm saying? Cubic
Yeah.
zirconium, man.
So let's
Yeah.
speaking of teeth, let's go back to your
hmm
youth, okay? Uh, where
Yeah.
where where were you born? Childhood, and give me all the details. What's the backstory?
I'll give you guys the
What's the
details.
origin
All
story?
right. Well, I moved to. I was born in Seoul, okay, and then my parents had the opportunity to go to America in 1986. And where was I living? I was living in Gardena. Gardena is kind of like I would say like a lower middle. I don't know what about now, but they have some. It's kind of a there are some gang communities in Gardena or whatever. But okay, and then afterwards, I moved to Hawthorne. Hawthorne is kind of like one of those white flight type of neighborhoods. It used to be where the Beach Boys used to live. Well, the Beach Boys, right? And then they kind of moved out and it became like a black neighborhood. So, um, in my youth, I was living in kind of like the white flight neighborhoods. You know what I mean? By white flight, like white people used to live there. They no longer live there, and it's like a black and Mexican sort of neighborhood type of thing. I don't know why my dad lived there. I think the reason why my dad lived there was because he thought he was working in LAX, and he probably thought El Segundo's too expensive, and he was like, you know what, we're just gonna go to Gardena and Hawthorne. I think the rent was cheaper in those areas. And then sometime in elementary school, for some reason, like my parents, they well not for some reason, my parents get an inheritance from my grandparents. Okay, the reason why they were not set up to get an inheritance, but what happened was my uncle passed away. Okay, so my uncle's passing away meant that uh, they're gonna get an inheritance. I don't think they were due to get one because my it was from my mom's side, and my mom is a girl, and traditionally, like the son gets the bigger inheritance. So suddenly, my parents have like all this money, right? And then they're like, well, we were
Are we
living in
talking about
Hawthorne at that
millions?
time.
Are we talking about millions or hundred thousands or what?
I It's hard to say. They never really tell me. I kind of asked them. They just kind of like don't really talk about that. But a lot for that time. Let's just say a
Okay.
lot for that time. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, you know, so they suddenly inherit money, and then we go to Palos Verdes, right? Palos Verdes. Palos Verdes is on a hill. It's kind of like the rich neighborhood, right?
I know where. Yeah, it's right up the coast from Long Beach here. Yeah, I see it.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful city. It's like now if you take two environments like Gardena and Florida, and then uh, Palos Verdes, completely two different environments. And then so I'm seeing a lot of you know ethnic groups. Like for instance, Hawthorne and Gardena. I'm hanging out with the blacks and the Mexicans, right? And then because at that time there were no El Salvadorians, Ecuadors, Guatemalans. They were just Mexicans. If you were Chicano, you were Mexicans at that time. Okay. Um, and then sometime when I moved to Palos Verdes, now I'm hanging out with all the white kids, and I'm hanging out with the Koreans, and it's a different environment. And so, and then I think when I moved to Palos Verdes, like a lot of my youth was just kind of trying to adapt to this new, upper middle class environment. I could not adapt for some reason. I just the reason why I could not adapt. Well, one, stupidity, because I was not like a smart kid. I was just kind of clueless. Okay, clueless. I was a very unaware, clueless type of individual in my youth. And then I want to take responsibility for my not being able to adapt to the Palos Verdes. I'm sorry, Rancho Palos Verdes. Rancho Palos Verdes is a little bit poorer than Palos Verdes. Okay, but anyways, I could not adapt. And then
What do
some
you mean?
in
What do you
high
mean?
school.
Wait, hang on. What do you mean you couldn't adapt? What does that mean? You couldn't adapt. You couldn't make friends. You couldn't get a girlfriend. What do you mean?
Okay, so why can okay in elementary school, kids look. I was like the guy that everybody made fun of. Okay,
Why?
I was just kind of out of it. I was not a clear-headed individual. So I was in my zone. You know what I'm talking about? And I was just like, well, okay, I'll admit it now. I just have to admit it. Okay. I used to have a stash of porn, and
Okay.
and people found out. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So I used to like go to like uh like local bookstores and like steal porn and something like that. And then all the
Really?
Korean parents, yeah, 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 and all the Korean parents, like the Korean kids, told their parents, and the parents like told everyone. And one time, I had a nickname. It was like Porno Man or whatever. So they were like, "Who's that
Hashtag.
guy? That Porno Man?"
Hashtag.
Uh, Porno Man. It was hilarious. It's hilarious. But at that time, my mom, how do you think she was affected? Like she was like, "Oh my god, my kid, he's a sweet kid," and everybody's like, you know, talking like, "Oh, don't play with that guy. I heard he's a porno man," or whatever. Okay, so that was my Palos Verdes, trying to adapt type of situation, and then couple. I think the majority of my youth in Palos Verdes was trying to adapt. I was being stupid, and then there were social ramifications because of that. Now, sometime in it was grade 10, okay, I moved to Brea, okay, from Palos Verdes to Brea. This was also a confusing sort of situation going on. I was no longer living with my mom in grade 10, okay? Grade 10, I thought, my mom went to Korea. I thought it was going to be like a temporary thing, right? But actually, it was not a temporary thing. My mom left, and we suddenly sold the house in Palos Verdes. Um, I forgot to mention my dad was operating a dry cleaner in Lomita. He sold the dry cleaner. He sold the house, and suddenly we moved to an apartment in Palos Verdes. Okay, uh, I if I can assess that situation now, I think what happened was oh, and then my mom moves to Korea. I don't know. I want to ask my dad about that or my mom about that. But so suddenly in Palos Verdes, I'm living with my dad. My mom's in Korea, and we're living in an apartment. And my dad's like working, and then from there I moved to Brea, and Brea was kind of like a new beginning for me. And here's the reason why Brea was a new beginning for me, because like in grade 9, like I would skip school a lot. Grade 9 I would skip school, and I would try to be cool. It was, remember, this was the whole gang era, so like this was grade 9. But I was not cool at all. I was just kind of like, the Joker, the funny man, and then uh, I think there were one or two guys affiliated with gangs, okay, but they were like, "Yeah, I'm in it," I'm a gangster, but they were kind of affiliated, and then like I was just kind of like the Joker, but I was lame though. I wasn't even like a like a you know I was picking on the Mexicans who just came from Mexico. You know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't have the balls to step up to the cholos. I was stepping up to the Mexicans with rodeo boots on. You know what I'm saying? Like they're from like, you could totally tell. Like the cholos, I would be like scared. I would be like, yo yo yo, okay, hi, And then like to the dudes with cowboy, shit, to the dudes with cowboy hats and rodeo boots, ha 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 ha. I'll be like stepping up to them. So that's how weak I was. That's how lame of an individual I was in high school. And it's funny and sad because I made some of those Mexicans in rodeo boots and Stetson hats, cry. It's really sad. And I was skipping school a lot. I remember one day I skipped school, but we did like a ditch party thing, okay, ditch party, and then we were walking, and then I was going home, and my dad, he's like waiting for me, and I'm with all my friends, and my dad's like, hey, y'all go home, and then they went home, and then I got like the biggest beating of my life, the biggest, and then afterwards, I told my dad that I wanted to change. And the reason was, first, I didn't like my reputation in Palos Verdes. I think I was just kind of ashamed, because I had been there for quite a few years now, and then, there was a part of me that didn't like my reputation, and there was a part of me who wanted to sort of sink into the whole academic life. Okay, so that's what I moved to Brea, and I really dedicated myself to academics starting grade 10. And fast forward, I do well academically, and I'm at Penn, which is kind of like a shock to everyone. How did Porno Man get into Penn?
That's the University of Pennsylvania. That's an Ivy League.
University of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yeah. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that at that time, UPenn was pretty weak, yo. Like UPenn was weak. After I graduated, like 2010, they were like, UPenn, Penn is like a big deal, right? But yo, in '99, UPenn was pretty damn weak. I have to admit it, okay? Everybody thought it was like Penn State and shit, but and that would really annoy me. I was like, no, I don't go to Penn. I go to UPenn, it was the one in Philadelphia, not the one in Pittsburgh, and I would have to. It was really ridiculous. I mean, I guess I was sort of proud of my achievement, and then, let's talk about Penn.
Yeah, let's talk about Penn. Your university days. Yeah, tell me about that.
I like to think of myself as I suddenly felt kind of like.
Is that a booger in your nose or something? I see something in your nose.
Oh, it's a nose ring.
Sorry.
It's a nose piercing, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Midlife crisis
okay.
or something?
Yeah, one of those. I still keep it Geo. But anyways,
sorry to
okay, so I'm at Penn, and my obsession becomes women. It's all I care about. So all I care about is how I look, how to maintain my weight. Because suddenly I felt like in my 20s, like I've attained like a sense of beauty as a male. You know what I'm talking about? And a sense of stature that starting to give me all this attention. I'm getting all this attention from girls, and that's what my life is all about. Just thriving on this attention from girls that I'm getting. I think I was a pretty handsome kid, in my 20s, and then that's what I thrive on, just being cool. Okay. one thing that I did not do at Penn that I regret to this day, I'm an idiot, Kyle. I'm a moron. I could have just stayed at school for 8 months and get a double major in econ, and I would probably be working in, Wall Street, because I was an English lit major, you know. So so there was a part of me that was like, should I just stay in school for like another 8 months? But no, I just, I just, I just quit, or not quit. I graduated with an English lit major, and after that, I worked for small publications in LA. Um,
But during
man,
this,
working,
but during this
yeah.
period, your parents faced financial difficulties, right? They own Wiener Schnitzel's that
No,
failed,
no,
right?
no, no, no. Yoshinoya,
Oh,
Yoshinoya.
Yoshinoya, excuse me. Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, can we just fast forward a little bit to
Yeah.
when I'm 30?
Wait. So
So, so, so.
from the time that you graduated
Mhm.
to 30, like what happened?
Okay, at that time, my parents. Remember, I told you about that. They inherited the money.
Yes.
They put all of that into American real estate.
Okay.
So they sold everything in Korea. They got all that cash and put it into real estate. Now, what happened in 2009? The whole real estate financial crisis, right? Remember that? Remember that? In 2009, 2010. And my parents were like, it's like they didn't like spread out their portfolio in terms of like investing. They put it all into one basket, and suddenly, and what happened was, my father was seeing that this real estate thing was not working out so great. So my dad invested in a Yoshinoya, and I think it was just kind of a messy deal. Um, there were claims that the person who introduced this deal was shady. I don't know how true that is. I don't know what the
Yeah.
lowdown
But long story short,
was,
they
but
lost all that money, right? They lost the Yoshinoya.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was when I was 30. That's when I came to Vietnam. That's when I came to Vietnam. I don't know. Like when I first came to Vietnam, I came with like, wow, it's gonna go deep. I think do you think I can tell
You can
the
tell whatever you want, but I'm
the
still
rest of my shit?
curious. Yeah, of course, but I'm still curious before Vietnam.
I mean,
Okay.
look, there,
Like
because
what?
there,
Okay, go
there,
ahead. Go
there's
ahead.
there. I mean, there are some things I'm leaving out, and I think I'm gonna leave it out just to protect other individuals.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. But when I came to Vietnam, I came with $300 in my pocket. Okay.
But
Um,
what made you go to
I
Vietnam
came.
first? Let's backtrack here. Like, what made you go to Vietnam? What were you doing in America before?
Let's take out a couple details. But my wife, okay, wanted me to come to Vietnam. I was like, okay, I got a deal in Korea. She was like, you should go to Vietnam.
Wait. Let's backtrack. Now, this is your former wife, and so you met her before, right? Before Vietnam.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
She was
and
like,
you
you
met her
should.
when you were in Korea. You were visiting Korea or something, or were you living in
I
Korea?
think I should. I that those couple. I'm gonna take it out of the interview here
Okay.
because I want to get it off my chest, but I want to protect those individuals just to be respectful
I
towards
understand.
them.
Okay. So we don't have to go
Yeah,
there. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So So at the age of 30, you land in Vietnam.
yeah. At the age of 30, I'm in Vietnam. I come with $300 in my pocket. It was just kind of like one of those situations like after I went to Penn, right? Like from the age of 18 to 30, I think I was like the spoiled, if I have to sort of sum it up, my 18 years old to 30 was very sheltered. because I didn't really have to do things financially. For some reason, we could all, my family, from when I was 18 to 30, we can just live off the investments. Okay. So from 18 to 30, I was financially sheltered. I had many things just taken care of for me. Um, there was a lot of, oh, why should I have to work when we don't have to? That sort of thing going on. And then there was also, um, yeah. So there were jobs here and there. I mean, I worked in journalism. I worked in film, a little bit. I
Yes.
also worked in test prep industry. But from 18 to 30, I don't think I had like a real core job, if you will. Like I don't think I had a real job because I had more like freelancing things because I would quit because I was like, why I would work just not for the money, but because I felt like that was something that you have to do as an individual. So and then 30 when I came, you know, you have to think about I have to think about sort of how people from 18 to 30 they're you know they're deep into their professional lives. I didn't really have that, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I can attribute not having that to my stupidity as a 30-year-old, my lack of maturity, my lack of perception, my lack of awareness. From 18 to 30, people are usually hustling, like they're working. I didn't have that, and that's why there was a large lack of awareness on my part at 30. I came with only $300. Think about that. At 30, I had nothing saved up but $300, right? I come to Vietnam, and I remember when I came to Vietnam, my parents were like, especially my mom, she was like, this was 10 years ago, 2010, and is it 2021 now or 2020?
2021.
Yeah, yeah, 2010. Vietnam was not what it is today. My parents were like, you know, are you okay? I wouldn't even call them because at that time there were no like smartphones. 2010. I wouldn't call
Well,
my parents. I think there was a little bit of resentment in me. I have to admit it. There was resentment towards my parents at that time. I was like, okay, and when I think about it now, I'm just an ass for having thought this. I was like, when you guys got started out, you had all the cushy, like you got all the cushy support from your parents, and you ruined it, for us. And now I'm in a situation in which I have to go to Vietnam and fend for myself. And I was like, that just didn't seem fair to me. I know that's moronic, right?
but
I
why
mean,
didn't you just
really,
stay in
that,
America? I mean, you had a Ivy League degree. Why couldn't you just stay in America? Or
that's a good question. The reason why I didn't want to stay in America was, uh, one, I wanted to be with my wife. Yeah, that was the
and she
primary
and she
reason.
didn't want and she didn't want to come to America.
It was
She could
those
have.
weird
You could have brought her
situation.
over, man. 90
Okay,
Day
so
Fiance.
so here's the thing. When I in 2010, I didn't really. I was like kind of like 50% on coming to it. It was kind of an option for me. You know what I'm talking about? And then the person and me, I was just. But remember, at 30, that after, you see the difference between the first me and the me now, right? Um, I don't know, still immature, but more mature now than I was then. But when I came to Asia, I thought 50% of I thought I might start in Korea actually, and then somehow, yeah, I came to Vietnam. I wasn't even sure that I was gonna come to Vietnam at that time. and then I came to Vietnam at 30. And the reason why I came to Vietnam was because a test prep center, right, at that time, uh, paid me a lot of money. And the reason why they paid me a lot of money was, one, there were lack of really experienced test prep teachers at that time.
Test prep as an
There was
SAT, TOEFL,
SAT, yeah,
all that stuff. Yes.
yeah, SAT. There were just kind of like, there were like these Korean guys who are like fobs, fresh off the boat. They'd never been to America. Teaching SAT, it was pretty weak when I first came here, and even when I wasn't like that much experienced in test prep, I was still more experienced than them. And plus, I also had my whole, Ivy League degree, which was kind of bragging rights, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
compared to the other
Yes.
teachers who were graduated from Korean university, which is kind of weird. No, you don't see that in America, a Korean guy teaching SAT. So I did well, and I did well enough for me to start, my academy, in which you and I worked together later on. Yeah.
But when you moved to Vietnam,
Yeah.
was it because you thought it would be cheaper to start there, or because there's no opportunities elsewhere, or what was it? Was there more opportunities in Vietnam at that time? Because you could have gone to other countries, right? I mean, you could have gone to, I don't know, Iran. You could have gone to the
Um,
Middle East somewhere. I don't know.
yeah. I have to sort of leave that out because I wanna protect the other individuals.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay,
You
no,
know.
we'll move on then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
so
because if I say it, then I'm revealing something that other parties don't want me to discuss. Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, and how did we meet exactly? Do you remember?
Yeah, we met because this was 2012, I think. Okay, I saw your video, and remember, I'm coming from a film background. Um, I'm coming from a film background, and you know what you were pumping out on YouTube was really cool because you were combining like travel and humor, and sardonic humor. Okay, and I thought that was pretty damn innovative at that time. Remember,
Right.
like
Yeah.
2012,
Yeah.
the
Now
stuff that
looking
you were
back,
doing with
it was
now
just
now
dumb.
yeah.
Now it's just dumb and amateurish.
No,
But
no, no. Oh, no, no. Your old stuff was actually better. Your your stuff now, the technology has
it's more
improved.
polish. It's more
But
polish. Yeah. But back then,
but
it was a
what you
different
were
me though.
doing
It was a
back
different
then,
me, different humor. I found
yeah,
things funny back then.
mhm,
Now I don't find it funnier anymore.
yeah, and I like the old you better as a content creator. It was, and then uh, I at that time I was looking for teachers. Remember that time, like I was looking for teachers, and I posted on Craigslist Vietnam. And remember that time, Kyle? Like there weren't that many teachers. When I say quality, like I'm talking about the qualities. Okay, okay. You remember 10 years ago, like what if you were trying to find teachers on Craigslist? They were mostly like old people, you know, really old retiree type of uh, Caucasian males. And I was like going through, and I found you, and I was like, "Oh, you're that guy from YouTube. I'm a huge fan of you, right? Remember that?"
So from my side was during this time I was working in the daytime and on the weekends, so I didn't necessarily wanted more hours. But chances are, well, this is very interesting. What I remember, I had gone into the teacher's lounge at my daytime school, and I usually never go in, especially during lunch or whatever. I'd never go in. So on this particular day, I went in, and there was another teacher there, and he actually showed me your ad. He was the one looking on Craigslist, not me. And he said, "Hey, look, this school is looking to hire somebody, and it's in Fumihung." And at that time, I was living in Fumihung with John at the time.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And so the other teacher said he was gonna apply, and I thought, well, if he's gonna apply, maybe I should apply too, just to see who's gonna get it.
That's not
Right?
very loyal.
Well, I wasn't friendly with him. I mean, we weren't friends or anything like that. But I just wanted to
Where
see
you
my
guys?
abilities. I just wanted to see my abilities, right? I just wanted to see like I felt because at that time I was a young teacher and he was a way more established teacher, and I felt like I had to
Mhm.
prove something. I had to prove that I too can do this, right? And again, it was just for fun. I didn't expect very much. So I sent you my CV and you responded almost immediately through that email. And you wrote me, I remember like, "Hey, I know who you are. I know who you are," or something like that, right? And then I think we met up that night.
Yeah. And I was a huge fan of Kyle, and yeah, I really appreciated your old stuff because I mean, I'm coming from a film background. I love the Woody Allen humor, the sardonic humor, and you were combining travel with the sardonic humor, which was
Yeah, it was very
which what
self-deprecating at that time, yeah. I mean, I'm still
yeah,
like
it
that
was
now
it
off
was
camera actually. I'm still very self-deprecating off camera. Uh but
but we couldn't find that stuff kind of stuff on YouTube at that time. It was very innovative at that time.
well, not many people were
Um,
making content from Vietnam during that time, first and
or
foremost,
or,
not in
or
English at
uh,
least.
that's
And
true.
the thing is, when I met you, I really liked you
Hmm.
because it felt
Hmm.
very informal. I remember I came dressed in a dress shirt, you were wearing shorts, and you were covered in tattoos, and I was a little bit
Yeah.
scared of you. I didn't know what to think. Right? Again, I was still relatively new to Vietnam, still a year in, just a year in, um, and I remember we actually had sushi or something in Phu My Hung that night. Like
Yeah.
I remember, and you forced me to drink soju, and prior to
Mm.
that, I never really drank. I was not into alcohol at all. So largely, you were the reason why I kind of experienced alcohol, to be honest, and also many things. You actually have many influences on me. My own tattoos are not influenced by you. I've always wanted to have tattoos, but definitely watches. I of course I don't have the Rolexes and stuff like that. But real or fake. But tell me about the origins of your tattoos. Like what? Because that's a common thing that people remember you for. What's to do with your
Okay,
tattoos?
so at 18, I got my tattoo the minute I turned 18. Like it was like, and I you know, at 18 to 30, I was in my cool phase, if you will, I guess. And it was just a fashionable, what I thought to be a fashion. In I think the year 2000, Asian people, 99 actually, 1999. Tattoos were not as common as they are now. Asians weren't getting tattoos except for like the thugs or whatever. Um, and I was being more like the hipster now, you know, and I thought it was just a fashionable thing, and I thought, you know, because I was into the whole hipster scene at that time. I was, I thought I was being different because I thought that, you know, it was my way of making a statement about myself, um, and yeah, I thought I was making some kind of rebellious slash fashion statement, if you will. Yeah.
hmm Now we got along.
Hmm.
and you hired me immediately. And let's talk about that. How was I as a teacher at your academy? Generally, I was very nervous working with Korean kids because I didn't know what they would feel about me or how they would feel about me. I was
Yeah.
always worried that they wouldn't believe that my English was as good as the next um, person because of my appearance, because or more
Yeah.
importantly, their parents. I was nervous that their parents didn't want a Viet Q teacher. And there
At
was,
that time,
yeah,
yeah, at that time, because of your ethnicity, you know, there was a little bit of worry on my part and my wife's part how the consumers would, process your working rather than a white person or a Korean person. And so, but I mean, it ended up working out great. I mean, there were some people who were like, well, you just hire a Vietnamese guy. And then I was like, no, he's Vietnamese American. And that concept of being Vietnamese American didn't quite, like if you were to say like Vietnamese American, right? Like, I don't think they understood what Vietnamese American like really meant. You know what I'm talking about? I think when they're thinking of Vietnamese or American, they're not really thinking of American. They're thinking more of the Vietnamese side. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I understand. It depends on experience. Like I said, like with some of my Vietnamese students in other schools, the ones with family abroad could really relate to me, or the ones with more
mhm,
advanced English could hear the difference
mhm,
in how I spoke. But
yeah,
I would say that they still trusted the Caucasian teacher more than me,
yeah,
especially when they would say, "Yeah, well, we trust him more because he's older." Not because they, of course, they're not gonna say because you're Vietnamese, but they think that if you only know one language, then you have to master that language. But if you're
yeah,
bilingual like me, then perhaps you don't know English as well because they don't know anybody who's bilingual, right? And then sometimes if I make a mistake in English, they think, "Oh, you didn't study hard enough." If a Caucasian person were
yeah,
to make a mistake, they would just be like, "Oh, he just forgot" or something like that. So the standards
yeah,
were definitely different. I felt like I had a
yeah.
harder time. I remember there was a time when a student asked me, he pointed at a picture in this book, and he's like, "Teacher, what is this?" And I'm like, looking at the picture, and I'm like, "Is that a suitcase or something?" Because it wasn't clear, right? And then he's like, "No, no, the book says luggage. You're wrong." And I'm like, trying to explain it like that, right? Like, but of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Can I get coffee over there? Like, just a
Yeah, yeah,
sec.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Saturday mornings in Vietnam. Where's your wife, by the way?
Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so
Yeah. So okay. So there wasn't any issues with me. Like no students complained because my English was not good enough
at
or something
first,
like that.
at first there was speculation, you know, because they had not seen a Vietnamese teacher. I was probably one of the first in town to make such a move, right?
Yes, because
To be
in that
fair,
area there was either Korean teachers or Caucasian teachers. There was no
yeah.
Vietnamese American teachers teaching Koreans at that time.
So there that was something completely new, and at first people had maybe a little bit of hesitation, um, a little. They kind of questioned it, but I mean, you were able to demonstrate that you're a good teacher, through your actions, through your teaching methods. So it all ended up working out. You had your own following. You did well. We had a good team. I think we had a good team going. Um,
I remember that you hired like four or five other teachers, and then they all gradually left, and I was like the last one remaining. And there was a period when it was just you
yeah,
and me. I remember that, and I took all their classes in the
yeah.
evening because at first you only hired me for like one night a week or something.
I think at that time, if I look back, I think I would have done things a lot differently. The way that I was running it, the way that I was teaching was not all that great, in hindsight.
Yeah,
Um,
you bought the cheapest
but
computers, man. That was a nightmare for
but
me.
at that time, but at that time, you know, Vietnam consumers were not all that advanced to begin with. Like if you were to come to the teaching scene now, Kyle, you would see how developed it has become. It's a lot more professional, a lot
Yeah,
more,
way
you
more
know.
technology,
So
right? Yeah.
not necessarily technology, but the teaching method is so precise that like if you cannot produce results, right, you're through. It's that kind of cutthroat industry now than it was before. In the past, you can be like okay and you can make like pretty good money. Remember those days? Like you can be like just average and still take home, a couple grand. Now it's one of those situations like if you're average, like you're leaving. You cannot survive as one of the players.
Yeah, I
But anyways,
remember.
let's
I
stop talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I just remember that this period was one of the most difficult in my life. I was trying to make a lot of money, trying to save money to travel, to pay off bills, etc., to live like a higher end life. Like I wanted to have my own
Hmm.
apartment. I wanted to buy nice motorcycles. And I worked like crazy. And people don't know this, but there was a time when I worked for months and months and months and didn't have like an off day at all. And I was working for
Yeah.
like four different places. If you think about my daytime school, weekend school, your school, you gave me private tutorings at night. Actually, five places. I had another tutoring thing um, on the weekends. So for a long time, I think like for almost like a year and a half, I did this, and it was hell. Like I would be up, 6 a.m. and then wouldn't be back home until like I don't know 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock or something like that, and I would edit videos. I
Yeah.
would try to make videos and stuff like that, right? Like that was the hardest time in my life, I would say. The most stressful time. I was making great money for Vietnam during that time, but it couldn't sustain itself. I didn't sleep. I mean, remember many times where I would come into class, just something happened in my daytime school. I'd be all stressed out from riding the motorbike, like, traveling to you. It was a nightmare at that time. But I remember that our friendship kept me going because you were the constant. Friends and women would come and go, but you and your family
Yeah.
were always there, and I felt like I had somebody who I could relate to, and I think that's where our friendship really grew because I had a
Yeah.
really horrible time just working so much, and I couldn't say no to these job offerings because I knew that it wasn't forever, it was temporary, so I was just trying to make as much money as possible for a rainy day. So we were working together, things were going good, but I did notice that after a few years there was less
Uh-huh.
and less students. Right.
Yes.
What
And
caused the Hagwon to fail?
okay, so this is what happened. I would categorize my time at the time as a person who thrived as a small business owner at first. You have to agree, I did pretty well,
You did
in
very well, yeah,
2000.
yeah. There was a lot
Yeah.
of lobsters, yeah, in the beginning, yeah. You
And
guys fed
then
me very well, yes.
you're talking about Vietnam, which has become way more. We're talking about Vietnam, a country and a market that's advancing at a really fast pace. Okay, if you take America for instance, you're more or less going to get a constant uh, scene, if you will, in many different respects. In Vietnam, what works today is not going to work next year. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Vietnam is
Yeah,
evolving, it's growing
it's
rapidly,
evolving,
yes, yes.
evolving. Yeah, and the only industry that seems uh, stable in Vietnam is real estate. Other than that, every market that you get into is just a whole bunch of evolutions. So my, uh, being in the education industry from 2010 to 2014, it worked. From 2010 to 2015, what I was doing, it was a thriving business and it worked. Okay. 2016, it was a completely different scene, and I didn't know how to adapt or evolve my services in a way that fit the consumers at the time.
Yeah, you had
Okay,
competition. Yes, they came in droves. Yes.
competition and the consumers wanted something different, and that was the situation. That's why it failed, because I could not adapt myself. And plus, here's the thing, and there's a story that I want to talk about. Like, it's 2021 now. Around 2017, when I put up my divorce video,
Mm-hmm.
about should I get a divorce, I hired this guy and I let him go because he's unstable, right? He gets all of the, parents' information, and he fucking tells them that I didn't pay the teachers, you know? And that was like the nail in the coffin. It was like, at that time, remember, I was going to Cambodia. I was doing my thing in D2, and I was trying to juggle a couple things, and I was in a situation in which it's my fault. I should have, if I had saved some money from 2010 to 2015, I could have gone through these difficult stages and still get back up. Okay.
Wait, was
In hindsight,
the guy who did this to you, was that CH?
no, 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 no.
Another
It's
guy,
another guy,
another employee.
more dangerous than that guy.
Wait,
Um,
where I wasn't.
so
I guess I already left Vietnam during this time, or no, or was I still around?
you already left Vietnam. You already
Okay,
left
okay.
Vietnam, and this guy, he gets all the information and he tells people that I didn't pay the teachers. I was like, and then so, we have a guy who's lying, first of all, okay? Um, yeah, and then I'm trying to make it work out in a way. And it's my fault because from 2010 to 2015, I should have saved some money, okay? I didn't save any of it. I thought I just spent everything. I didn't have cash in the back. And I'm trying to get my Cambodia thing to work and my D7 thing to work and my D2 to work simultaneously, right?
Yeah, because you had,
And
even though you made money, but you had to spend a lot of money, correct? Like, how much money did you have to spend per month on average? Like rent
I
and
don't know. Yeah. I mean,
how much was
you
a
know,
Hagwon rent, by
okay,
the way?
it was like 3,500, yeah,
Wow, a month for that building.
a month. Well, I don't know if you were, but the last one was 3,500. So
Whoa.
here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm like sticking in there. I'm trying to make it all work out. I'm trying to make the D7 thing work out. I'm trying to make the D2 thing work out. I'm trying to make it all work out. And this motherfucker, like, he does that, and I'm like, oh.
And the parents believe
And
him.
then they believed him. Now they look back and think, oh, but they believe him.
Well,
So,
why did that guy do that to you?
because he's crazy, because he's been doing this he's been like stealing, like, he's been dishonest he's a Korean guy. He says he's Korean American. He's Korean. And he's been doing that throughout several, he did it to me. He did it to other people. He did it to students.
Yeah.
He's just a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that really harmed your businesses.
That I don't want to blame him, but I just could not, like, I could not. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm trying to make this work, right? I'm trying to make this work, and that was the nail in the coffin. It was just, I felt just too weak. How do I?
Well,
It's like,
you
okay,
were
it's almost
exhausted.
more.
You were exhausted working and
I
going to
was exhausted,
Cambodia
and
every single weekend.
yeah, and I'm trying to make this work out, and this guy does that, and suddenly I'm in a, like, kind of a situation. Oh my God, you know what? This is too much. I cannot handle it. I can't handle it. It's like I had like 4 students in D7 after that incident.
Wow. Just 4, huh?
Yeah, and I'm still trying to pay 3,500. And so what he did was he took all the students, and I guess he's one of those things. Oh, I didn't pay the teacher, so you should come with me and do it with me type of situation. He's a sociopath and he's a criminal and he's being sued at the moment
Mm.
by other individuals. But at that time, I only worked with him, so people didn't know about this guy, right? Now people are now I'm like, I told you so, motherfucker. That motherfucker's crazy. But now they can acknowledge it, right? But at that time, they thought, oh, me, I'm the one who's not paying the teachers. Whatever, it's okay. I mean, it's a good lesson because you know what I learned.
What?
You remember the video like what happened to Yevato or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that video?
Which one?
Well,
There's many that because you disappear and then you reappear, and so there's many. What happened to Yevato?
well, here's the thing. In that time of financial distress, or not distress, not even crisis, in that time of financial catastrophe, you know, she left. You know,
And
you know,
this is when you when your ex-wife left. That's when you moved
yeah.
in with Ginger, right?
I moved in with Ginger is a man, by the way, not a
Right,
girl,
right.
but
Yeah, Ginger is a man. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
that's his name.
yeah,
So this is when okay, because I remember there was one time I was visiting Vietnam and I was staying with you guys, I think, right? And I was like on
yeah.
the floor, uh, and I remember you were in your white underwear and just crying. It was like
What? I don't
yeah,
remember that.
yeah. You just moved in with Ginger. Your
Mm-hmm.
wife left, and you were alone, and I just happened to be there. And it was I think the first night that you spent at Ginger's apartment. Is
Mm-hmm.
he still in Vietnam, by the way?
He's still in Vietnam. Yeah, he's doing
Really?
quite
Wow.
well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Um, and so because you had to move in with him, you hit rock bottom. I remember that night. Your hands, your head in your hands, shirtless, wearing whitey tighties, and just crying and crying and crying. And you had a big beer belly at that time. I
yeah.
remember it,
I
man. I
still have a
remember.
big beard.
Okay, well, I remember it very, very
Well,
vividly.
well,
So, okay.
there were some good things that came out of it. It helped me to see where individuals, how individuals can become when people experience crisis. You know what I'm
So
talking
she
about?
left because of financial reasons. Was there anything else?
That was a large part of it. That was a large part of it. I mean, there were other things. Look, there were other things. I don't want to talk about it, but I mean, that was what instigated, prompted, you know, her leaving. And um, I don't know. Some of, in a way, like um, I don't know, like, and then it, like later on, like
So when did it get better? And was that the reason why you kind of stopped making videos and you kind of disappeared for a while? You had too many things going on in your life? Because I get questions all the time. I remember during that period where people are like, "Where's Yevato? Where's Yevato?" And I was disappointed that we worked. I mean, I felt like I trying to plug your channel constantly, trying to help you grow as
mhm,
well, and then for you to just
yeah.
stop like that, I was kind of really sad at that point too. So was that the reason why
Um,
like you couldn't continue because you had too much going on with your life?
well, first, I think I had, by 2017, there was stuff coming out of Vietnam that was pretty good and surpassed, the content that I was making because, when you want to make good content, you got to spend a lot of time, right? So I was in a position in which I could not spend a lot of time
Yeah.
because I wanted to be financially secure again. So I was working, which meant that I didn't have time for YouTube. So that's because
Yeah.
I wanted to
So
be.
yeah, because from
Mhm.
from a business owner, you just started after. those business collapsed, you just work for other people.
No, not necessarily. I worked for me. I was just doing anything that I could. I worked for me. I worked for other people. Um, just anything that I could. Yeah.
So, so the reason why you didn't make videos was because you were just too busy.
Too busy working. Yeah, that's really what it came down to.
And when did your life started getting better? When were you out of this financial problem?
Okay, so after my wife left, okay, and then after a year, things turned out pretty good. My
But the
Cambodia
but the year before that, it wasn't good. So it took you a year to
for
recover.
1 year. So after she left, it took me a year to recover, and then
When she left, did you beg her not to leave, or were you willing to just let her go? You knew it was over.
I think I didn't want to accept it, but it was just like a relationship can go past the like irreconcilable sort of situation. You can't it's gone too far. It has to end. Those types of situations. So I just kind of accepted it, but it was sad. It was really sad because I'm coming from my parents are not divorced, and I'm coming from those type of puritanical type of values. Like you never get a divorce, no matter what type of situation. Of course, I found out that nowadays people don't think like this. It's like they think, if it's time to end it, it's time to end it. That sort of situation. I was sort of not a fan of that because I just thought it was kind of sad. I thought that if you marry someone, you stay with that person forever, no matter what. But but I was like, I guess,
So,
I
so
guess
were
like
you pretty lost then? This was 2018, right? Were you
for
pretty lost?
I don't remember the years anymore, but I was yeah, it was for a year. It was really difficult because people wanted I had to pay back a lot of people, and I was just trying to do what I can to stop the phone calls from I had to pay people back here, pay people back there, just trying to do what I can, and then after that it became pretty good actually, but this is the surreal situation about life. After a year of really struggling, for a year it was really good again. For a year it was like really good again. Like I was like, what the heck? It and then, but what happened was for that 1 year when it was good, like I partied a lot, you know. After you're partying a lot for a year, you just kind of you're just like, this is pretty lame. I don't want to do this anymore. What do I mean by partying? Like going to clubs, you know,
Okay,
meeting women.
so
Yeah.
how did you meet your current wife now?
I was introduced, and someone introduced me, and I thought, you know,
Were you looking at this time? Were you looking for a partner?
no, no, no. Actually, what happened was my parents came. They were like so disappointed in the way I was living. They were like, "What the fuck are you doing with your life? Are you not making money?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm doing pretty good." And they're like, "Why do you live like this?" I was like, "Oh, I guess I gotta that money has to be funneled towards the party." I was kind of lost spiritually and philosophically, and more still mourning, about certain things, or maybe these are excuses. Maybe I just wanted to party, Kyle, and then you know,
Well, you
so
were a free man. You didn't have you know, you didn't have responsibilities of that family life anymore, right? You didn't have to come back at a certain time. You
yeah,
could do whatever you want.
yeah, I was in one of those situations, and I could do whatever I wanted, and I did that. And after doing whatever I wanted for a year, it just kind of got lame.
Okay.
It got really lame. I was feeling spiritually like, what am I doing with my life? I'm a loser type of situation. And then someone introduced me to my wife. Um, Someone introduced me to my wife, and I thought, you know what? She's 20 at that time. She was probably like 22, 22 maybe. I was like, well, maybe I should just, at that time I'm like 38 or whatever, right? I'm like,
That's a big gap. I mean, has that affected much in your
yeah,
relationship?
that's not considered a big gap, I think, in Vietnam.
Yeah, maybe not so much in Vietnam, but I mean, you know,
Okay, the whole gender dynamic, the whole dating dynamic is different in Vietnam and different for Vietnamese Americans or just Americans in general. Like younger girls here really don't want to meet men of their same age.
that's happened to me. Yes, when I was younger and dating there. Yeah, I've met girls who want more established guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One, well, because they feel the guy who's older is more financially established, and number two, they're afraid that if the guy's too immature, like he might just run away after like
Yeah.
her getting pregnant, and that
Yeah.
happens
Okay.
a lot in Vietnam.
Okay.
And so, our age gap is not seen upon as being strange or weird or
But
whatever.
but what about for you? I mean, you grew up in America. Didn't you find it a little bit strange? Did you
Well,
have second
I didn't think.
thoughts? Did you thought, man, maybe she's too young for me,
Well,
or I'm too old for her?
I mean, not really, because the reason why I didn't think that was because around me there were people who were dating, and there was a huge age gap among them, so it didn't seem that strange. And because I was seeing people who are 50, seeing girls who are 22 or whatever. So it was just like,
Wow.
it didn't seem, it didn't seem, it just seemed normal to me because
Well, to
everybody
each,
else was
yeah,
doing it.
okay, to each their own. Okay, I'm not judging you or anything like that.
I,
I'm not just saying
but
I'm.
that's more common here. Okay, you might see a 22-year-old girl with a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, rather than a 22-year-old girl with someone her own age. If she doesn't like that, it's a preference here,
Yeah,
and
I
people,
understand. Yeah, I understand. Right, I
yeah.
understand. Okay, uh, but so how did you know that your relationship would go to the next level? I mean, you were introduced. You could have just dated her, but how did you know to
Okay,
get married again so soon?
yeah, so it's like I have to sort of take on the ultimate responsibility of where this is going, you know.
And
So
she wanted a marriage.
she wanted that. She was looking for something like that. I was looking for something like that. I was more like, after partying for a year, I was like, I don't want this anymore. So when you're partying, like when you have money, right? It's like everyone's around you, and then on those days when you can't spend money, you're just really lonely. It's one of those types of situations. That's kind of the drawback of the whole partying scene is when you have money to go out. Well, there are times when I don't have money, people will call me out, but what about what I just want to just you know hang out at home? It's just what do I do? I'm alone all
So
of a
you
sudden.
were so basically you're telling me that you just settled because you're lonely. Did you settle?
Not
Did you?
settle because I'm lonely. Because here's the thing: when I'm alone, okay, I do more stupid things because I'm
Okay,
lonely.
okay.
And number two is, I think in my 20s, I could get away with just being alone. But now that I'm getting older, my being alone is not helping me.
Hmm.
Like, there are stages in my life when, like, I think it's a biological thing that needs to happen. But I think like when you're 30, the older you get, this is just my opinion. Okay, you can agree or disagree with me. Okay, but from what I've seen, the people in my life, the ones who are old and not partnered up or without a family, I feel like I see their slow disintegration sort of going on. I'm sorry if I'm offending someone, but I feel like the older you get and you're just kind of alone and not with a family
Okay.
or a married partner, I feel that their lives are just slowly disintegrating and going in a way that's sort of not healthy, if you
Okay.
will. I saw that. So
In
I
you.
was like, in me and people around me, I see people who are not married, and yo, where are their lives going? Like their lives are just kind of going in these weird directions.
Before you know, got married, did you date other Vietnamese girls, or was she the only one?
I cannot talk about that.
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I
Yeah, I
respect your
cannot talk about
privacy.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, but how did you know this girl was the one?
maturity and trust. I think women are looking for two things, and the first one, the foundation of it is, can I trust this guy?
What made her trust you?
Um, well, I told her, that what I value the most is trust. Okay, in a relationship, and anyone who's had any kind of relationship will know that trust is the most important thing. And then number two, I think women are looking for stability. Um, you know, and then number three, this is an area that I'm still working on, guys. I don't get better at it. Showing that affection and spending that quality time with women. So three things primarily. Number one, trust. They don't want you to go outside. This is Vietnam, and I think that there are many like temptations for men, and they have more opportunities to meet women compared to if you're in America. Okay, so if I'm in America, I probably have not many opportunities to meet women, whereas when I come here, I have more opportunities. So they want a trust that I'm not going to go around, you know, you know, uh, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Number two, they want financial stability. Oh, okay, all right. Number three, um, they want um, the showing of affection and spending quality time with them. And for some reason, Kyle, this is not the third one is something that I'm not that good at. It's like they say practice makes perfect.
You're not an
Well, in
affectionate guy.
department number three, I don't think I am. I think
Y-
I'm not affectionate
You don't cuddle.
to begin with. I try my best to do it, but like, okay, okay. For instance, in this relationship that I'm in now, my problem is I sleep too much. You know, I sleep
Okay.
too much, and I don't have much time to like spend with her, and so I've been criticized for that, and I'm dealing with that now. Yeah,
No, but why do you have
but
to
it's not.
solidify it with the paperwork? Why can't you just trust each other, like you said, and be each other's fiance for a year or two?
Uh,
You weren't
that's not romantic.
you weren't afraid
That's
that
not.
you weren't afraid of another divorce or something like that so soon? I mean, easy comes, easy goes, right?
Well. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. Now let's talk to practice makes perfect. I'm really good at uh starting a relationship with a woman. That practice makes perfect. I'm not so good at the maintenance of it. You know. Now, how would you? How okay as a man, and you're approaching, you know, playing this, half stepping type of lukewarm type of thing. Nah, girls aren't buying it. Girls just want that. damn girl, you know,
Let's get married. Damn
I
girl, let's
live
get married.
the
Like
better
that?
than let's try it out for a year. Let's try it out for a year, see how it works out. Man, the only person who would accept that are white girls, man. I don't know why white girls are more open to those types of white girls. Just I don't know why white girls just, but to an Asian girl, they still have that sort of, to white girls, let's see how it works out. We can figure it out in a year, maybe. But to Asian girls, that's not very romantic to an Asian girl.
Okay.
I can see that work, yeah, but I can see that a white girl's like, well, I can see your situation, and I think I can agree. We can try to make it out. We can try to work it out for a year, see where this relationship is going. I totally see a white girl accepting that, but
Yeah.
not for Asian girls. By the way, I have to go to work. I have to go within 5 minutes
I
because I have to go to
understand.
work.
Yeah, I know
But
you're a busy guy. I get
but
it.
you know what? Look, but I know the solution.
Okay.
I've been praying, and don't laugh, but I've been watching Joel Osteen. I've been praying about it, and I think God planted the seed. You know, God planted the seed because He wants me to be a bigger YouTuber, and I've been praying about it. I've been praying to God, and I think God's gonna deliver His promises, and then I'm looking forward to God's promises, and I hope God can help me find the right people, the right editor, the right cameraman, and I've been Joel Osteen is really helping me a lot. Steve Harvey motivation videos, uh, every morning, yeah, while
If
I'm going to
you
work.
if you hadn't met me, do you think your
Yeah,
life would be any different?
yeah, I probably would have never even got one step into the YouTube, because really, you're the talented filmmaker. Really, trust me, trust me. Uh, but I think I have, like, you know a comedic sort of, I'd say, just I'm a funny guy,
You said I'm a
and
talented
I
filmmaker. Do you even watch my videos?
you're a talented filmmaker. Yeah, you are. You know what works. You have the eye for what works, and for
Well,
me, I'm just talking shit. For me, I'm good at talking shit. I'm just like, try to be funny, try to, like, give people a laugh. But here's the thing: when I do it on camera, it's funnier than when I do it in person. I've noticed.
okay.
Right, guys.
So
Right.
so are you glad we met? And do you want to get back together?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So they say, a lot of Asian Americans, like, they get their start in Asia. So, like, what's his name? Jin. Remember Jin?
I'm too young for this
Rough
stuff, man.
Riders. So Jin got signed to Rough Riders. Yo, his stuff was produced by Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? He was doing uh BET, right? And then, like, and then he blew up in China. Jin. Yeah.
So what's your point?
So you should come here. If your albums ain't doing so great in America, you should come here. Blow up in Vietnam. That's what I'm saying. Jin.
I would like to one day work in Vietnam and maybe even live there, but I just don't know right now. I just haven't found the right opportunities. If there was something, I would consider it, but just right now at this very given moment, um, I don't see anything for me right there. But I'd love to do some business here and there. But living there again, I don't know. I'd like to live in Da Nang. I don't want to go back and living in Saigon. I'd like to live in Da
Yeah.
Nang or somewhere else. But yeah, I miss Vietnam and I miss you. And I think again, you
Yeah.
were the reason why I decided to stay in Vietnam longer than I did. And I felt
Yeah.
like for the longest time, you were my best friend. I am glad that I met you because
Yeah.
for the longest time you were my best friend for the longest time,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's something that I ever had growing up. So I'm glad that we found each
Yeah.
other, and you made Vietnam a lot more bearable for me. I was very
Mhm.
homesick, and you gave me more motivation and also money because I worked for you. So that made things
Mhm.
easier for me. But also,
Yeah.
you gave me this friendship, this vibe of family.
Yeah.
I still think
Yeah.
about your family all the time, and I still remember the good old
Yeah.
days of just you guys getting really, really wasted, and there I was.
Yeah.
And I just miss those times a lot, and I know we can't have those times anymore, but I know that I can't wait to see you again. Even though we have grown apart the last few years, I have to admit we
Mhm.
don't talk as much as we used to. Our lives have
Yeah.
gone in different courses, but I'm so proud to say that you were my best friend at one time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wish we were closer. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I totally feel the same way. And when you edit this, make sure you put a Whitney Houston song. It's like, I believe that children are the future. Or Michael Jackson's, I'm talking to a man in the mirror. But
Okay,
anyways, no, no,
okay,
I
Yevato.
totally
Oh,
feel
yeah.
that. But yeah, no, those were, you know, you know, the times that we had at that time, special times, and I felt that like, you know, as I think you're an artist, but you have a platform in which you can be recognized more. But I feel I'm an artist, but I get more recognition for being that artist as a teacher. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like I think when you're a teacher, because I'm working for international schools now, and working with my major, which is you know literature. Like I think I have opportunities to be an artist, experiment with certain things, and I
Well,
think I get more.
yeah, as long as you're happy. But still, I know a lot of people would rather see you on YouTube full time than that, and I know I'm one
I,
of them.
I, I, I would too. I would too. I would too. And
And I
this
would
is
love
at a
to do
crossroads
that too.
because
Hey,
because
look,
because
hey, I wish it was 6 years back in time, man. But times change. I have a lot more. We both have a lot more gray hairs on our head. But
yeah,
I just wish that one day in the near future we could just travel somewhere together and just hang out and
I
because
just
that's it.
like, God, what are you trying to tell me, God? It's like, I'm at a crossroads right now in my life, and last week I did my Thug music, my single, you know, it's that Thug music. It's that Thug music. I recorded in the recording studio, and then my wife was like, "Man, what are you doing over there? Recording that whack ass bullshit." And then and then she got mad at me, and then now you're telling me, all these things. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to, I'm God, just gotta pray, just gotta pray it out, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna let you
yeah.
go. I'm gonna let you go
Okay,
pray some more.
I gotta go poo poo. Anyways, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right,
Take
I'll
care,
talk to
yeah.
you soon, brother. All right, bye bye.
Bye.